There's no other dangerous place. There's no 5,000 people being killed any other place other than the mother's womb every day in these abortuaries. Anyway, this breaks it out. There are certain areas, no human use, the red areas, the yellow, severely limited. They're called buffer zones. Then normal use is in the black or the dark green there, and then the white is not yet mapped out. But some of these, they've mapped out some of the other states. Here's Arizona to show you, if you lived in Flagstaff, that whole area is no use. They're going to literally take those people's homes from them. At this treaty, the country that was considered the model country was China. Not only for the reason that a mother, if they have more than one baby, they can have the baby forced abortion, or they can have forced sterilization, or like they did, there were a number of these Chinese women that came over here about 6 years ago. Unlike most illegal immigrants, they were caught in this golden something ship off New York. Where'd they go to a prison in California? They've been there ever since because they wanted to save their babies. People, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm telling you, we live in an evil country. We live in a country as being, not the country is evil, it's the leaders that lead the country. It's the people that have fallen asleep and haven't held them accountable for what they're doing. Their representatives, the ones that are representing them. Okay, as the executive orders, as you see on this slide, and as I was mentioning earlier, you'll hear a lot more about what executive orders are about. We're under dictatorship. Here it says, without needing to consult Congress. There's a lot of laws being passed today by the president. He writes the laws. He puts them before the, I can't even, my brain, I can't think. Anyway, he writes these laws. He should just be either vetoing or passing laws that the Congress and the House initiate. The Federal Register is the word I was trying to think of. He can write a law, put it in the Federal Register 60 days, and it becomes a law for us to live by. Our congressmen should challenge that. They aren't doing it. Senators aren't doing it. They're passing everything he wants to pass. He puts through executive orders. What's bad about it is some of them are under literally their the word I'm trying to think of it. We don't know what they are. Basically, I'll think of it in just a few minutes. But again, they're passed and then they're immediately sequestered or whatever it may be. Let's go on to the next slide. This Habitat II treaty there in Istanbul, Turkey. I mentioned earlier it was an evil treaty. It had not too good of plans for us and our families. Well, this was Section 9232 out of this Habitat. It's off the Biodiversity Treaty. You can read about it out there. There's Michael Kaufman in his books talk about it. But it claims that the consumptive patterns of the industrialized world are no longer sustainable. So you'll hear the word sustainable development. In fact, the president just again executive ordered his own council on sustainable development. That means we don't have enough food to meet the needs of the existing people in the world today, and that we must either reduce the Earth's human population to 1 to 2 billion from the current 5.6 billion, or reduce our standard of living to an agrarian peasant society. I believe they want both. If you understand what that says up there, they plan on reducing us either by 3.5 billion or by 4.5 billion people. And we'll see how they're going to do it and how they're already doing it today. And this was passed already. This was executive ordered into our country. So we're and I believe they're also going to bring on the peasant society also. They're going to combine both of them. We're going to live like that model country, China, where you report to the village. You probably heard of village. It takes a village to raise a child. That's their ideal thing, is we live in villages and we report in, get our little tools and work in the agrarian society. The reason they do this is because their God is Gaia. It's the Mother Earth. They're worshiping creation rather than the Creator. This was a 1988 Planet of the Year Time magazine. It says the endangered Earth. They're concerned about the animals, the earth. It's paganistic religion is what it is. We're all one, the earth, the trees, the rocks, the fish, the birds. And it seems like people are less valuable. People that are created in God's image are much less valuable than the animals or trees or anything else. How are they going to depopulate the earth? Well, I've already talked about abortion, family planning. I didn't mention that, but we don't just abort our own babies here in this country. We continue to send these people all throughout the world with billions of dollars. So we're killing many more than the 38 million babies. We're killing Chinese babies, Russian babies, all over the globe. We send out money so we can slaughter these babies and continue the killing so we can depopulate the earth. There's wars. Last I heard there were 33, 34, 35 wars going on around the world. That's constantly changing. Genocide. You can look at what happened in Chechnya. You can look what's happening in Bosnia. You can look back what happened in Nazi Germany. Homosexuality, that's one way not to have children. One way to not depopulate is encourage two men to get married, and that way they will not have children, guaranteed. Euthanasia, that one I haven't talked about. That one's very personal to me. I mentioned in Isaiah 59:2 that those that fail to stand in the gap for justice, it says in 59, will be the victims of the very things they don't stand for justice. Well, just as after I'd quit the corporation I worked for 25 years, I went back home from Monterey, drove home, and on the way home when I got there was a call. My dad had fallen over to a nursing home and had hit his head on the floor, and he had a concussion, so I went back to Wichita, Kansas. He was in the hospital. I had a meeting with various people, the nurse, the doctors, the pastors, and various other people. My mom was just in a state of not knowing what was going on. She was looking for direction. Everybody, with the exception of myself, said, well, what quality of life would your father have if you didn't take the water away? And I said, well, if we take the water away, he'll be dead in 3 days, won't he? And they said, yes, he will. And I said, well, we're not taking the water away. Well, it was more than that. It got into some major discussions between the family, and my mom again was hurting. So I went to her and I said, Mom, whatever happens, I love you. I'll stand by you. I know God will support you. And what happened was the pastor came and they talked about really taking the water out, the IV out of his system, and they did. In fact, it fell out, so they looked at that as a gift from God. About 5 days into this, my dad said to my mom, says, please don't leave me. The Supreme Court is looking at this issue of euthanasia today. They're deciding whether they should kill the elderly people because of what quality of life they may have. They're deciding whether they should kill the retarded children because of what quality of life would they have. They're deciding to kill anybody they want to because of what quality of life they have. When we open the door on the killing of these non-human beings that live inside their mother's womb, as we consider them, we open the door for many of us when we get older, and for our relatives and for people we love if they're handicapped. Right now, again, that's being talked about in the Supreme Court today. Get ready, people. God's word is true. What he says is true. When we don't stand in the gap for the helpless little babies, we're going to be victimized by the very things that we don't stand in the gap for. Again, it was all based on quality of life. And again, you have to look at Nazi Germany. When you fail to learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. What happened over there? They wanted a blonde-haired, blue-eyed race. Everybody else really wasn't considered to be the kind of future generation that they wanted, and that's what they're moving towards. So I hope you people have blonde-haired, blue eyes, because Satan, again, is moving. These Luciferian society group is moving towards a blonde-haired, blue-eyed race, this Aryan race, they call it. It's all under the lie of the devil. That wasn't the first time he tried it. He's tried it many times, and he's going to try it again. Oh, excuse me. On the famine and plagues, we'll get into that in just a few minutes when we talk about the food supplies. Anyway, here's a quote from Ted Turner. It says, the total world population of 250 million to 300 million people, a 95% decline from present levels would be ideal. Ted Turner. Here's Ted Turner out at that Gorbachev, the Forum, World Forum in San Francisco. He's the humanist of the year. What kind of humanist is that wants to eliminate 95% of the people on the earth? They introduced Gorbachev. He's a billionaire, and he's likely to be part of the Council of Elders. You need to understand Freemasonry. You need to understand Illuminati to understand what that's talking about. But it's these secret societies again. Prince Philip, who's Prince Charles' father, says, if I were reincarnated, I would wish to be returned to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels. Here's Jacques Cousteau. In order to stabilize world population, we must eliminate 350 million people per day. See, he wants to make sure the fish are taken care of. He wants to make sure everything else is taken care of. You people have to understand these are actual quotes from these people because they serve the god of this world. Her name's, it's a female god. It's Gaia. Skaya, sometimes they use her, but you can get books on this and you can see, again, it's paganism. It's this serving of all kinds of gods, serving the creation rather than the creator. And God says he turns them over to a reprobate mind when you start serving the creation rather than the living God.